Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Dream Oracle for You. I am your host, Sarah, and we have our co host, Biljana, as well. This is our last episode recording for the 2024 season. We'll be kicking off a new season in January, and we are very excited to start our new season of episodes with you. We hope everyone had a fantastic holiday, had some great time with family, and setting good intentions for your dreams, which leads me to a kickoff point for today's episode, all about intention. Biljana, would you like to get us started?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, thank you. That was a great introduction, and yeah, hope all our listeners had a great holiday. That was safe. I know over in Australia here we had where I am located, we had fires, so they were quite bad. They're still going now, so hopefully, if there's any other people out there that have gone through similar experiences, hopefully they're safe and enjoyed themselves as best they could. So we were discussing, I can't remember if it was the previous podcast or the one before that, we were discussing a bit of an experiment that we're going to start off, and it was about um what was the first one? It was about like reducing sugar and then also about our intention. So the first week we're just gonna document if we had any dreams affected or what we did during the day, like what we ate, and we chose to not have our intention during the day and then also leading up to going to sleep. So that was a very interesting week.
Sure, and
So
just for our listeners, I actually don't think we described what we had planned to do for our experiments for I think we mentioned it, but we didn't actually give any details and what our plan was. And we're only about, at least for me, about a week and a half of actual, um, you know, doing what we had set out to do. So I guess I could just fill in our plan for the listeners in case they want to give it a try. The first week, as Biljana mentioned, was about reduced sugar and specifically trying not to eat food after 6 p.m. So that way you have time for your body to digest before you go to sleep. And in week one, it would be with absolutely no intention in for your dreams at all. So not wanting to ask for a lesson or a message or anything to come through. Just literally going to sleep without any thoughts about what your dreams would be. And then the second week would be similar. You'll still be on reduced sugar and no food or no food after 6. But then you're really setting an intention, like what it is that you want to achieve in your dreams, if you want a message to come through, if there's a lesson you're supposed to work on, so on and so forth. And that's about as much ground as we've covered in actually doing this experiment. We do have plans. This is about a 6-week experiment that we want to try with different variables that we're changing. Other options will be perhaps to try some sleepy time tea or chamomile tea as it's known. And what was our third option? Do you remember, Biljana?
oh,
Yeah, I know.
I can't actually
Should
remember.
have prepped a little bit more before the episode.
Let me just have a quick look because there wasn't a lot of changes, but I know yeah it was a reduced sugar and chamomile tea, and I'm pretty sure that was it. Oh, and no dairy
Oh, that was the
as
other
well.
one. Yes. Okay. So
Yeah,
then the third week would then be no dairy. Also, I think for all three of these, it was also no food after 6 p.m. And then, of course, one
yeah,
week would be with intent and one week without, in whatever order you choose, I guess. And then the
yeah,
idea is then when you go to sleep, um, make sure you have pen and paper next to your nightstand so that if you happen to wake up in the middle of the night and if you remember a dream, then you can write down everything that you remember about the dream. And I guess key things we were looking out for, kind of taking note as we were doing the experiment, was to note whether the dream was vivid, what type of dream it was, whether it was, an anxiety-inducing dream or just randomness, all kinds of just to give a little bit of detail, not necessarily paying close attention to what the dream was and all the symbols, but more or less what the effect is on the dream, what reduced sugar or intention versus no intention has. How did you feel, Biljana?
Yeah, well, how did I feel? Jeez. So I tried to be as strict as possible, like the no eating after 6. The sugar, like I tried to do no sugar, but I just quickly just like, you know what, just one thing at a time. I just reduced it a little bit and no eating after 6. I just felt good physically. And so I suppose that leading up to going to sleep just made me feel better and more comfortable, not feeling um, yeah, uncomfortable in the body. So that made it like a better sleep, more restful sleep. But the intention, like that was really hard, not having an intention before going to sleep and even just during the day, not not really having a purpose of what you want to learn or what you wanted to like ask yourself. That was really hard because I've been doing it for so long and then not doing it. Like that just yeah, it was quite difficult. You felt the same? We talked about it
Y-
briefly. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt so I could not wait for the week to be over so I could set an intention because like you, it's just become part of my normal routine that, before going to sleep, I'm like, okay, what lesson do I want to receive tonight to work on? What is something that I need to focus on now? And even though I wasn't necessarily saying, okay, I want to focus on this particular thing tonight, it was still that activeness of asking for direction or asking for guidance before going to sleep. You know, show me in a dream what it is that I should be concerned about at the moment or putting my efforts towards. And not doing that for a week, I too felt lost. It just felt unnatural because it has become such a integral part of our growth. But I guess for some of our listeners, it'll probably be a completely normal experience if they're not putting that intention for their dreams. And the result of my dreams was it was bizarre. Like I can't remember all of the details, and I've written down some of the dreams, but I will not necessarily going to discuss them in today's episode. But I just remember things being very random, like more random than I've ever had my dreams be before. Just there was no direction, there was no guidance. And, things like, okay, I do remember, and maybe I will talk about a couple because it's just it we talked about this earlier that we'll just let things pop in as they come. But there was one like it was something about Amazon and you would just have to like think about what you want on Amazon and a portal would open and it would just like drop in. It was just like the most randomest thing ever. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this? And then I would like look at the window and then there would be people and they would be dressed up in costumes and they would be playing laser tag. And then they started to like shoot at me. I'm like, oh no, they're shooting at me and I have to like run away. But like it made no sense to me whatsoever. It was very strange.
Yeah, I found that I didn't dream as much. And if I did, like as soon as I woke up, I would have to write it down pretty quickly because it would leave pretty quick. So it was only like during the day or even days after where I would get glimpses, like things would be coming back. And I think having your intention or like even having purpose in your life is so important. Like when you've just kind of, you know, just going with whatever's happening in life and not really, you know, putting your intention or like really focusing on something in your life, that made a huge difference. And then And I suppose because there's lots of other things that's happening in my life at the moment, like a real shift for myself. And then, a lot of things like with my family. And so doing the experiment at this time, I suppose it's been quite interesting. But also, I think it's opened up a lot more for me to really think about. And at this time, I've got a lot more time to myself. So yeah, it's been really good. The one thing that I've really realized and noticed that not having intention with anything in my life because I'm just like, yeah, no, I'm not. I'm just gonna let things roll. And I felt like there was just people were starting to control me,
Mm.
and I was giving my power away to different things. People, started to just binge watch movies, which I haven't watched movies in a long time, and not just being able to focus during my day. And so that's what I found. Like, yeah. But it wasn't just because of this experiment, like a lot of other things happen in my life. But it goes to show that if you're not really putting the attention out there to bring the power back to you to really control things in your life, your decisions, your thoughts, all these sorts of things have a huge impact on then your dreams as well. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
I
absolutely. I mean,
learnt a
we've
lot.
yeah, you have a lot to say today, which is great. Um, but yeah, that brings it back to things that we've spoken about before, where often how you're feeling, how things are going in your waking state is going to translate into your dream state, and sometimes even more intense, especially if you're stressed, then you're probably going to have more stressful dreams. And this is a little bit of a sidebar from our experiment, but I think it's an important thing to note because it is related to intention. So, I guess she would be technically my niece or future niece. She often suffers from night terrors, and she'll wake up in the middle of the night, will walk in, basically sleepwalk, won't know where she is, and sometimes will be screaming. It's just quite quite disruptive to her sleep. And it's been a constant thing since she was a very young girl. She's about 10 years old now, so still suffering with it. And so she came to stay over the holidays with the family. And the first night she had night terrors, woke up in the middle of the night, ended up coming in our bedroom, flicking on the light at like 2 o'clock in the morning. Just very disruptive sleep situation. And so I was talking to my mother-in-law about it the next morning, and got talking to her about our podcast and dreams, and just really focusing on how things that go on during your waking days can translate into your sleep state. And so then that night, she then focused, she had a lot of conversations with her granddaughter and was really focusing on positive thinking and not thinking about anything negative that may be going on, but really focusing on, the excitement for the holidays and opening gifts and, all those positive things that could come for her. And from that moment forward, and she stayed with us for another few days, she had no night terrors whatsoever, where it's normally like a nightly thing for her to have night terrors. So just thought that was a nice little thing to tie in there about intention.
Yeah, that's cool. And the more I listen to like even just us having chats and then listening to other people, like I'm finding, you have to have a real focus in life to to help you, like, because if you're giving your power away outside of you constantly, then you're less likely to be in control of your life and then your dreams. So that's what lucid dreaming is. Like you're being in control of your dream. So if you're not in control in your life, uh, there's no chance of you being able to lucid dream. Well, easy enough. Like it'd probably be a real struggle. So yeah, I I'm all for it.
Yeah, the
So,
intention was so it was literally night and day for me with the reduced sugar, no food after 6 p.m. and then having the intention. I remember that my dreams were quite vivid in both scenarios. So I will say that for me personally, the vividness of my dreams didn't really change. So that's just integral to, I guess, my dream state in general. The food didn't seem, or lack thereof of sugar and intention or no intention didn't really affect the vividness, but the randomness, I would say, drastically changed from intention versus no intention. I felt that when I woke up after going to sleep with no intention, and I would like, okay, was there a message in that dream? Is there something I can learn from that dream? And just nothing intuitively came up. It was more like kind of just storing of memories, I would say, which is a useful thing, but it just didn't seem to have any purpose. But when I had the intention, there were little things that popped up like, oh, that's something I can focus on, or that's something that, you know, it's just, it was less random. Definitely is what came through for me.
yeah, okay. Well, it's interesting. I was listening to a video yesterday and also just before, and something that this gentleman mentioned, and it really like stuck with me, is if you want to understand your dreams, you need to question your life when you're awake. So question your reality, like your life, like so because they're one of the same, like it's still part of you when you're dreaming, it's still you. So you need to be, if you're just living your life just without any questions, then it's hard to understand your dream. So it's good to question yourself when you're awake. So yeah, it's doesn't mean you're going to get the answer straight away, but starting that questioning, why is this the way it is, and trying to understand it. And I feel like I've been doing that all my life, just questioning, pushing back, and to like things that have been presented to me and like, why is it like this? Why does it have to be like this?
Mm,
It just felt like I get, a lot of things growing up, opinions and like you have to do this. And I always used to say to my family, like, there's no book on life,
yeah,
you know? So why do we have to do it this way? We can't do it another way, Why do we have to all be the same? Because we're definitely not. So
absolutely. That
yeah,
resonates with me so strongly, and it kind of reminds me of an ex that I dated a number of years ago, and they were very much, how do I say this? I guess kind of traditional and traditional in the way that, adults are supposed to act a certain way and kids are supposed to act another way. And I think a lot of it was put onto him by his parents, but he very much was upholding those teachings, I guess is what you call it. And I'm I'm a free spirit. I like to have fun. I like to go on adventures. And to me, it doesn't matter what age you are. If you enjoy doing something and it makes you happy, go do it. Like, what stops you? And one of the things that I really enjoy doing as an adult and also when I was a kid is I like to go to a playground or a park and just swing on a swing set. There's just something that's very calming and peaceful to just literally be, to fly through the air basically. It just really, I find it very relaxing, and it's just a nice experience. And I remember seeing, I don't know, going somewhere with him and seeing some swing sets. I'm like, oh, we should go on the swings. And right away he's like, well, we're not kids. Why would we go play on the swing set? That's adults don't do that. And I was like, well, who says adults can't do that? And so that um your comment just now really reminded me of that little story.
yeah, that resonates so much. I think the same. And I'd probably sometimes would be that person that like that's what kids do. And then I pull myself up, I'm like, hang on, like we are just kids just grown up, really. Like we still, we've
We're
still got that inner child that we need to have fun and may look different as we get older and more capable of doing more complex things, but we still need to have that fun. So yeah,
Yeah,
like
absolutely. And we're just kids stuck in adult bodies, unfortunately, is really what it is. But like I can proudly say that, okay, so we're talking about reduced sugar for our experiment, and I said that I only got through like a week and a half, and that's because we started this right before the holidays. And I remember texting you and be like, I'm gonna have to put the experiment on hold. There's no way that I can go through the holidays without eating sweets because, there's nice pies and cookies and things that are in all the chocolate that you get. And like there's just no way. We just gotta put the experiment on hold. And lo and behold, my in-laws, their wedding anniversary is actually Christmas Eve. And as part of that, we always get an ice cream cake for to celebrate. And they had this massive ice cream cake that just it was too much cake for the amount of people that were eating it. So it just was being left in the freezer, not being eaten. And so I think it was my last day there at the in-laws. I was like, you know what? It's like I'm gonna have ice cream cake for breakfast because we need to eat this ice cream cake. And so I'm like eating this massive bowl of ice cream cake at like 10 o'clock in the morning. My fiance gets up and comes down. He's like, "What are you eating?" And he realized he's like, "Oh my gosh, you really are eating ice cream cake." I'm like, "Yeah." It's like this is an adult breakfast. Yeah.
yeah, I so agree. And I don't think we got through the first week.
I got through
Like,
the first week. I think I've got like 5 days.
yeah,
Well, we'll call it a working week and not a 7-day week. So I got through 5 days, and I felt like after those 5 days, I'm like, the reduced sugar and not eating after 6, like you, had a profound impact on my body itself. Like, I
yeah,
felt one, I wasn't even craving the sugar anymore, which is often a big thing for me that I just crave the sugar. So even after just 5 days, I wasn't craving the sugar. And I just felt from head to toe like my body just physically felt good. My bones weren't creaking as much. I didn't feel bloated or anything along those lines. Like everything just seemed to work a lot better. But not having the intent for my dreams, like you, I felt lost. And
yeah,
I don't think I could go through the whole week without the intent. It was really, really challenging. And I was like, okay, I think I've got enough of an idea for, how my dreams are with reduced sugar, no food after 6, and not having intent. I want to see what it's like with intent. And so then I switched. And I think I got like 3 days of doing that. And then, well, Christmas happened and I've just put everything on hold until I'm literally saying until January.
yeah. Yeah, after you said that, I was like, yeah, all right, let's just not worry about it for now.
Yeah.
And I was fine. There was just so much going on around me, like energetically. I was like, this is just too much for me, like having no intention. I think because as you become more aware of your life and reality and what we are, who we are, where we are, that you can't go back. You can't go back to being oblivious to certain things. So when you're like we're intentionally having no intention, then it's just like you're just trying to shut off a part of you that you're trying to ignore. And you're like, it's so hard. Like as soon as you've realized something, you can't go back from that.
Yeah.
So that's what I found really hard to you're shutting a part of you off. And I was finding that I was getting more triggered and annoyed with just the smallest things.
Mm,
So yeah, I'm just finding that yeah, intention is the key to everything in your life. So yeah.
Definitely. Do you think for the rest of our loosely planned experiments, do you think we're still gonna have the no intent in there, or should we just be trying intent and various variables to see? Or do you think we should keep the comparison? Or are we just gonna be torturing ourselves by not having intent?
Well, I suppose maybe because it's our intention is so strong, like I suppose because we're both so intuitive in different ways that maybe like we just have to keep our natural state of the intention and then change the other variables because it's really we are changing who we are, pretending to be something that we're not. So I think
Mm,
that in itself is going to have a huge impact. But if
mm-hmm.
we just change like the things that any person can do is like the food and when you go to sleep, what you do before you sleep, during the day, those sorts of things. I think that will be a better indicator.
Cool. Yeah, I'm
What do you think?
definitely, yeah, I was getting a lot of nudges while you were saying that. That really
Yeah.
it made me more excited for the experiment because the no intention really isn't sitting well with me. But I do encourage our listeners to do your own experiment, see what works for you. And I mean, Biljana and I are just two people. Everybody is different. Everybody does have their own individual journey. But so far, the consensus between Biljana and I is definitely we need to have intention when we go to bed and dream because or in just intention in our life in general because it is the point that we have reached in our journey. There are people in their personal development, their soul journey, whatever you want to call it, that perhaps are not at that intention point yet. And so for people that are at that stage, it doesn't matter at what stage you're at. Feel free to work with one or the other or both. But I think for Biljana and I, we've reached a stage where we live our life with intention, and it is not being true to who we are to not live with intention. So I guess from here on out, reporting on our experiments will be we've learned that intention is important for Biljana and I, and now we're going to focus on if there are substances, foods, drinks, or whatever, when you eat, what types of intention you set. Like for me personally, I know that I don't always set an intention through the day, but I know Biljana, you do. I set my intention before I go to bed. So like that's one area that I could take this to the next level for myself is to see, oh, am I going to have an impact on my dreams if I have a full on intent of what I want to get out of my dreams during the night. And I am curious with the sleepy time tea or the chamomile tea if that will have an effect. I am a little concerned about needing to get up and pee more in the middle of the night, but we'll see about that.
Well, I suppose that's when you just have it. Well, if we're doing the no food after six is the same thing with the tea,
Yeah,
even though
perhaps.
even though like you may go to bed at 10, 11, or whatever time,
Well, it depends on
it's
how
still
effective sleepy time tea is. If you don't, if you drink the tea at 5:45, and if it really is sleepy time tea and you fall asleep at 7.
yeah. Well, it I suppose it all depends on individual. Like everyone gets affected differently. So, but I did have a thought about another variable we can throw in there, and it's just gone out of my head.
Oh no.
What was it?
It's that wave
Um,
of consciousness that just
oh,
goes by. Okay.
yes. Having maybe an affirmation or like self-talk. So like maybe 1 week of none, still have our intention, but then another the second week is we say the same thing every day. Like whether we, do it first thing in the morning, lunchtime, and then just before we go to bed. And yes, say the same thing. Like if you repeat it, 5, 10, 20 times to yourself and have like a sentence or a paragraph that you repeat to yourself and see if that makes a difference as well.
And what would the contents of this affirmation be?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Well, we can discuss this as we go, and then we can report back, and we can even, we can tell people what we actually said to ourselves, and then if see if we felt better during the day, and then going to sleep. That's just an add positive fuel to the your intention, and then having control of your life and bringing the power back to you. I
So
think
add
will
more
be.
intention to the intention.
Well, just like I suppose people that are not aware of their intention, or like uh, doing it every day. I suppose just having self-talk, and a lot of people know about affirmations and all that sort of stuff. So even just have one sentence like I'm in control of my thoughts, saying
Mm.
that one line, or like it can be something loving like I love who I am. It can be just one line, whatever it is, and you just say it in the morning when you get up, and then maybe before you go to bed. So it's not really an intention, it's just saying those things and just seeing how you feel every time you say it. Because when I've done it, like you say it once, you're like, I love myself. You're like, it's just a line. But then if you keep saying it and you really start feeling into it, you're just like, wow, I actually love myself.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm all for positive talk, and I do believe that it has quite an impact. I know that there's been times when like people around me have been getting really sick or whatnot, and I was like, no, it's like my body knows how to beat anything that comes near it. It doesn't, it's gonna, get through this. I'm not gonna get too sick or, whatever it may be. So I've even sung to my neutrophils before. So just as the white blood cells, if anybody was wondering. I lost my
Yeah,
pen.
I was going to ask.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, your neutrophils are your white blood cells who are your soldiers in fighting your body. Not fighting your
Well,
body,
there you
but
go.
fighting things that come into your body, I guess.
Yep. Yeah, cool. Oh, well, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we probably should talk about this offline, but that's okay. I'm just gonna go for it here now. I know that we have a guest that's coming January 8th for this episode or for this podcast. Are we going to record one more time before then, or are we just going to wait for the 8th? What's your feel? We've got a little over a week.
I reckon we should just leave all the juicy stuff to the interview, I reckon.
Okay, sure. Yeah, okay. So
And that
that
way it
means
gives
that
us
this,
some
so
time to get back on our if we want to start our experiment again, and then we've got, you know, something to lead up to get more insights. I know that now that I've cleared a lot of stuff after the last couple of weeks, I'm opening myself up to different ideas, and yeah, even about learning about more about the subconscious and what that is. And yeah, I'll talk to you a little bit about that off air. So just don't want to like overload people.
for
So
sure,
yeah,
for sure. Is there anything else we should talk about in today's episode?
I think like I'm pretty happy with that. I think because I experienced and felt a lot just in that one week is so profound that I think showing people that how simple it is to get some information, some insights from doing something simple, changing one thing, having an intention, or just setting some sort of purpose in your life makes a huge difference. So yeah, that if I can pass anything on to anyone, it's that. It's just is find one thing, it can be anything in your life, it can be just making the decision to leave a job or to buy a pet. Like if you're really focused on wanting to do that, like that's so important and makes a huge difference.
Or buying a house. That
Yeah,
is definitely where my intention is at the moment, or at least where my energy is going. Um,
yeah,
yeah, no, I think I mean, I started today's episode by saying that today's episode is all about intention and hadn't really planned for it to go that way, but that's where we are, and I think that is the takeaway for our listeners today is if you're not living with intention, we highly encourage you to start living with intention and allowing that to cross over into your dream state as well, or before you go to bed to set those intentions, because we're all meant to be on this earth to learn, to grow, and to live good lives. Even though some people may be living through challenges and, be in difficult situations, it's not meant to be difficult. And one of the ways to overcome challenges is to be present in what you're doing, to set intentions, and to know that, or to have confidence, faith, whatever you want to call it, that you are in control of your life and you have the control. You just need to set the intention.
yep. That's a good way to finish. And to remember who you are.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
yep,
definitely. That's a
yep.
big one as well. Yeah, okay. I guess that wraps it up. It feels a little weird. We've had a short episode today, but we did cover a lot. We just focused on intention, of course. Once again, very thankful to all of our listeners and subscribers up to this point. We only hope to grow bigger and bigger. Not hope, we will. We are setting the intention that this channel will be massive and we will reach lots of people, all the people who need to hear what we have to say. If you would like to have your dreams interpreted or just like to share anything dream related, you can always reach out to us. We are on Instagram. We have a Telegram channel that you can check out. All of this will be in the show notes, of course. You can find us on YouTube and Spotify, and you can also email us at dreamoracleforyou@gmail.com, and that is the number 4 and the letter U. And I don't have anything else to say. Do you, Biljana?
No, I'm pretty happy with what we talked about. So, yeah, thank you for this. And yeah, kind of missed our chats.
Yeah, I sure did too. It definitely felt weird the not having an episode for a couple of weeks, but it's good to take a break and to come back. And we'll be back in January 8th will be our next episode, and we will have a very special guest on, and I'm so excited to talk to them. Just everything dreams, whatever comes through. So, thank you, dear listeners. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. We hope you've learned something. And that key something should be that intention is very important, especially for living a good life and for having dreams that you can learn from and grow from. And we do hope that you all just keep on dreaming.